on this Tuesday, August 19th. I'll turn it over now to Laurence to take roll.
We'll be roll calling for the directors first. Chair Kalipi is excused, but Vice Chair Miyashiro will be running the meeting. Can you please, for the directors, let us know that you're here and whether there's anybody in the room with you? Vice Chair Miyashiro?
Present, and no one else is in the room with me, all alone.
Director Gordon?
No one in the room, all alone.
Director Sims?
Present in the room.
Director Hirokawa?
Present, and I'm by myself in my office.
Director Lin?
Present and in my office alone.
Thank you. Director Sao?
Present in the conference room.
Director Hilton?
Present alone.
Director Wilshire?
Present in the conference room.
And I believe Director Molinaro will be joining us a little bit later. Now I will proceed with NELHA staff, and then we'll follow with guests. Starting with NELHA staff in the conference room.
Riley Senko, Executive Director.
Laurent Lombardier, Deputy Director. We also have in the room
Alex Leonard, Chief Finance Officer. Keith Olson, Operations Officer.
and
Faustine Edge, Administrative Assistant NELHA.
and online, I think we have Ray and Pam. If you could just present yourselves, please.
This is Pam. I'm in the water quality lab alone.
This is Ray. I'm in my office alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll proceed with the guests. Probably the easiest is to start with you and then go around.
Sure. My name is Naoki Ando. Everyone call me Nick. I work for Big Island Bologna right now, the project management.
My name is Taishi Kuihara, CFO of the Koa Premium Foods, Big Island Bologna.
I'm Kazuki Itzo. I'm one legal counsel of Akatsuki International Corporation. And another legal counsel.
I'm Kazunari Kubohara, Akatsuki International Vice President.
Hi, my name is Megumi Ochi. I'm the Business Operations Manager at Akatsuki International Corporation.
Thank you. Hiroshi.
Hiroshi Arai, Konabata base.
Sue Wynn with
And continuing online, we also have guests. Actually, maybe Alexia, if you could present yourself, please, and just joined us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexia Akbai. I believe I know most of you, CEO and founder at Symbrosia and NELHA tenant.
Thank you. Cecilia, would you go next, please?
Yeah, Cecilia Fuyun, Big Island Abalone.
And I think the next, excuse me, Go Law Group.
Hello, everyone. My name is Go Kobayashi. I'm the legal counsel for Koa Premium Foods Hawaii Corporation. I'm in a conference room alone.
Thank you. And I believe the last person would be Mitch Ewan. How could I forget? And our AG.
John Cole, alone in my office. Thank you.
My apologies. You should have been way up there. And finally, Mark Ladow. If you could identify yourself, please. It appears his sound may not be working. It's my understanding Mark Ladow is with Hawaii Public Radio. I think that's it, Vice Chair.
We also have our attorney online, Mr. Hayakawa.
Yes.
My apologies. Go ahead.
No problem. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I'm Taiki Hayakawa, legal counsel for Akatsuki International Corporation. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. I need a better method to go through everybody. Did I miss anybody? Okay, thank you. This time I'm truly done.
Thank you, Laurence. The first order of business today will be to approve the NELHA Board of Director minutes from July 15th. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second Gordon Bruce.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Anyone opposed to passing the motion? Hearing and seeing none, the July 15th, 2025 board minutes are approved. The second order of business is to approve the NELHA Board of Directors Executive Session Meeting Minutes from July 15th, 2025. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to. Go ahead. Gordon, I move.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Anyone opposed to passing the motion? Hearing and seeing none, the executive session meeting minutes from July 15th, 2025 are hereby approved. The next item on the agenda is public testimony. We will be limiting public testimony to 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to provide testimony?
Not on our side.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who'd like to provide public testimony? I don't see anyone online either. We'll be moving on to the first item on the agenda under old business, discussion and decision-making regarding the request for rent adjustment for Symbrosia, sublease K41. Who will be presenting this item?
I believe I will.
Thank you.
Do you want me to bring up the slide?
Yes, if you could put the slide on and go to the location map of Symbrosia. So this item was deferred from the May board meeting. We had a few more points that needed some ironing out, but we're presenting this time and asking for approval for rent adjustment for Symbrosia Inc. Symbrosia produces seaweed as a feed additive to reduce methane production from cattle. They're one of the 2019 hatch cohort startups and have been located at Host Park since that time. They currently lease some R&D space, and you can see on the image on the left-hand side, they lease some space under the sea salts facility. But in 2023, they entered into a long-term sublease, K41, for a future production facility on approximately 15 acres. The location of which is a little bit more detailed on the right-hand side. You are all seeing the images, right, on your screens. I'll take that as a yes.
Yes. Gordon Bruce, yes.
Thank you. So they have experienced some delays since entering into that sublease. You can see this is raw lava and does take time to develop. But they've had some other challenges, which include, frozen and delayed federal grants due to the current administration changes, some delays in securing the USDA loan for $36 million, and therefore some delays in submitting their building permits. In addition to that, as we all know, permitting takes quite a long time with the county. And so, although much progress has been made, they're needing a little bit more time on the I guess adjusted rent that we had established for the first year. They have laid off about 20% of their workforce, but they still have 18 people, and they have hired a full-time construction manager to make progress on this 15-acre new site. In addition to that, they have secured the USDA loan at this point. They've hired architects. So we do believe that they're committed to making this facility happen, and they just need a little bit more time. Their sublease rent fee escalation was structured to be about a third of the full rate for the initial 6 months, then followed by an increase to 2/3 of the rate, and then finally a full amount. And so we're requesting to keep the rate at a third of the amount, which corresponds to about $150 an acre, until they obtain a county permit, or until 42 months is up, so whichever comes first. Like I said, Symbrosia has shown some extraordinary commitment and staying here despite all of these challenges. They continue to be very active in the workforce development, most recently through their Imi Nawao apprenticeship, which is starting, I believe, next week. Alexia can talk a little bit more about that if she wishes. They've also been working closely with DLNR because the Kings Trail basically is on one of their boundaries, and they've been working with DLNR to highlight that trail and protect the resource that is there. So they're very, very active with the community. So our staff is recommending approval on this request. We did create some draft agreements that both sides have reviewed and are ready to execute should we get approval today. And the one last pending item was the path amounts due, and Alexia has assured us that that would be paid as soon as we can execute these agreements. Alexia is online. She's the CEO for Symbrosia, and I will maybe give her some time if she wishes to add to anything I just said, and then we can open it up for questions from the board directors.
Amazing. Thanks, Laurence. Yeah, I guess just to reiterate, we are very excited about the potential for Symbrosia to continue. Gonna have someone help me. For Symbrosia to continue expanding our production here at NELHA, and we are in development with architects. We have secured a loan. I think initially the lease agreement assumed that we could do all of this in a year plan and get a permit, which I think we know a permit at least takes a year in itself. So I think we were hoping to kind of modify the initial lease, knowing what we know, to maintain the subsidized rate until we're able to actually commission this facility. On top of that, obviously we've had some financial challenges earlier in the year, which makes the $5K a month payment a little bit difficult for us to squeeze in right now. So we're hoping that we can continue to expand our facilities here and maintain progress on that acreage instead of maybe having to cancel the lease because we're not able to pay that amount right now. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Before we go into the motion, does the board have any questions?
This is Gordon, and I have a couple of questions. So my first comments can be, I'm in support of this. So take these comments in that venue, or in that vein, I should say. So now I heard grants. Are you still looking for some pending grants to come in?
So the USDA loan that we secured has a supplemental grant program, and we have an $8 million application that's still frozen right now. We're working with Senator Schatz's office and a number of local associations that we're a part of to try to get that grant unfrozen. And so, yeah, that funding, it's not directly affecting our current operations, but it's definitely slowing down some of the subsidy funds that we thought we had to complete this project. And so if we would have got those fundings, the $5,000 might not have really been a big deal for us, but because we're still operating off of our current business footprint, those added fees are making a difference right now.
Okay, great. Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you for that. Next question is, I do not like the fact that you're going to possibly hang your hat on the county giving you a permit. So my concern would be to give you a longer extension in that, just so you know, I'm in favor of this, but I don't want you to get bound by the fact that the county can't get their work done in a timely basis. Just as my added comment to that. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I think Laurence mentioned, you said either a permit or how many months was in the contract?
We provided either a permit or 42 months. The idea to have a 42-month limit is to incentivize the submission of the permit. In other words, you can't blame it on the county if you haven't submitted a permit. That said, we do understand that if the county goes beyond their expected timeframe, we did discuss the possibility of coming back and further extending the situation.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
We feel comfortable with that timeline, and I just want to reiterate that we do want to commission this facility in the next 2 years. So that should work for us.
Thank you.
Director Hirokawa?
Thank you. Sorry. And a question, just a question. Sorry for my, I just want to be clear. So the intent is to pay the 150 per acre for no more than 42 months, right? Whichever, or the permit, whichever sooner. And then at that time, the rent will be restored to the full rate adjusted for inflation at that time. Is that, assuming everything goes okay? Is that what the intent is, to restore the rent to, what is it, the 357 and change adjusted for inflation at that time? Is that my understanding correct?
It would actually go to 250 for 6 months, and then it will go to the full range after that, 357. And then on month 55, I think we then start the adjustments, CPI adjustments, which is basically something incorporated into all of our leases, whether they're short-term or long-term.
Oh, okay. Okay. So basically the initial rate is actually just extended further, and then they still get the discounted rate, the less discounted rate, and then the full rate at that. Okay, understood. Thank you.
So the less discounted rate will probably be while we're actually building and constructing the facility, so we won't be generating any revenue yet, and then the full rate probably closer to when we start generating revenue.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Lin?
Yeah, just not to, say that the county is not doing their job, but I just wanted to provide a suggestion, maybe on the language. Instead of making it so specific, could you make it a little bit more broad and say, obtain the necessary permits to commence construction? Because at that point, maybe it's not the county holding the project up, and maybe it's other agencies that may be holding up construction. So I just wanted to provide that suggestion.
We can certainly make changes if the board wishes to do so. That's up to the board.
But I think I'd just be up to Alexia if she anticipates other permits being limiting factors.
I know that we're submitting the other permits even before the county permit, so I'm not sure. From my understanding, the county permit's the one that typically takes the longest, but I can double check with our construction project manager and verify that.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting it because it gives you more leeway.
Coverage could, that a state agency could hold up the process beyond the county permitting timeframe. So yes, it is conceivable. I would support the language change from a practical standpoint.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so oh, I gotta shut that off.
Sorry. So it would be Yeah, authority having jurisdiction over the relevant aspect of the approvals. And we can modify that so that it applies to any authority having jurisdiction. I've seen that in many contracts. So Alexia, if you're okay,
Yeah,
I'll
okay with
propose
that. Thank you.
great suggestion, Dennis.
Yeah, I just don't want us to all come back again in 42 months and say, oh, well, we gotta revise the contract because 42 months are up. County permit's been issued, but they still can't start construction, right? And it's because, I don't know, some type of other permit that's tying it up. So I'm just trying to save everybody else time and provide flexibility.
Thank you.
I agree with Dennis. This is Gordon.
Okay, is there any other questions from the board or the room? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the request as amended for the rent adjustment for Symbrosia sublease K41?
I will move. This is Gordon.
Thank you. Is there a second?
All second.
Second.
I'm sorry, who had the second?
Director Wilshire.
Perfect. Is there any discussion? Is
We
there-
don't actually we don't actually have the draft modified agreement, do we? With this approval, that will go to you, you will draft up the agreement and then you will be able to action it, or you'll.
When it's a minor change like that, we would make the change.
Okay.
If you all trust us to do so.
Director Hirakawa?
Sorry, this is just a question for the board. If it's gonna be more open, it sounds like it's gonna be more open-ended. Would the board want the lessee to come back with progress reports? Because, it just seems like maybe the board should have some little bit more oversight, but that's just me. I'm willing to go however the board decides, but I'm just gonna put that out there for the board to consider.
I mean, normally progress reports would go to NELHA anyway, and you would look over them. So presumably you would let the board know if there was any particular problem.
We don't really require progress reports of the various companies. They have quite enjoyment of it.
But I mean, they're right here. You have a pretty good idea what they're doing.
I think we've been working with the folks at NELHA to the extent that there are a number of additional permits beside just like the county building and civil permits. And so I think that they've been guiding us through this process and do have some transparency maybe on where we are. If the formal report's not required, I'm not gonna sign myself up for more work, but if wants a formal report, I'm also happy to do that.
I wouldn't think that it's needed. You're highly incentivized to move forward as quickly as you can, Alexia, and I think we can all take comfort in that.
I agree with you.
Is there any other discussion?
I'm confident that the staff will give us updates if anything changes.
I'd just like to voice my support of what Director Bruce said as well. Okay, is there any opposition to passing the motion as amended? Hearing and seeing none, the request to approve the rent adjustment for Symbrosia is approved. We'll now move on to new business. The item on the agenda is the discussion and decision-making regarding the assignment of Koa Premium Foods Hawaii DBA Big Island Abalone Sublease K6 to Akatsuki International Corporation. Who will be presenting this item?
I will.
Thank you.
Do I need to bring up the slide?
Yes, please.
Thanks.
Before we start, Chair, I'd just like to note I need to recuse myself from discussion on this. Yes, there is some potential conflict of interest.
Noted. Thank you, Director Sims.
And we're just bringing up on the screen location. So this is Symbrosia. And we're going to move to Big Island Abalone in a moment. Big Island Abalone would be the one.
I'm sorry. I thought I was there.
Well, I know the pictures kind of look the same. It's the park. All right, so we recently informed the board, I think it was at our last meeting, that Big Island Abalone had closed their doors in June 9, stopped their retail sales, as well as any expanded growth, I guess, although they have kept their existing abalone alive. And at that point, they were considering two options. One of them was to liquidate and turn the land back to NELHA, and the other option was to find a buyer, with this latter option being the one that was successful. And this is why we're here today. Akatsuki International Corporation, which is a Japanese-owned but established in Hawaii in 2023, is interested in purchasing 100% of the stock of Koa Premium Foods Hawaii Corporation. They're interested in, as a corporation, in producing food for Hawaii residents and visitors alike, and they currently have 2 other businesses already in Hawaii. They're headed by Masakazu Idemitsu, who's related to the Idemitsu family from the well-known Idemitsu Kosan Japanese company. And the draft 100% stock purchase agreement was sent to staff, so we do know that this is a serious proposition, and we have reviewed that. If and when the consent is provided, because more than 50% stock purchase triggers the assignment clause in the sublease. So if and when the consent is provided by the board, they then plan to change the name. They would own 100% of Koa Premium Foods Hawaii Corporation. They would change its name to the new entity that will operate. So actually, it's not a new entity. It's the same entity, just will have a change name. And we would reflect that change through a supplemental agreement. So both the consent to the 100% stock purchase and the supplemental to change the name were provided in the board packet for board to review. The name is, we are not aware of the name quite now, but it's possible that they may have some examples of what they're considering. They can provide that to you today. The main staff concern had been willingness and ability to address deferred maintenance issues. There are some serious issues over the last 7 years. Very little was done in terms of maintenance, and we're very concerned about, in particular, a sump that is not functioning and general state of the facility. Akatsuki will be providing 1.5 million to address the various issues. About 500,000 will have to do with deferred maintenance, and then 1 million to complete the construction of the barbecue area. They will also be consolidating the facility. So the business plan, confidential business plan, was provided in your board packet. And you can see in there that they're consolidating to about 3/4 of the space, and that's going to allow them to take care of the various maintenance issues and also reduce their operation costs. They're already on a reduced space. So on the image that you're seeing on your screen on the right-hand side, Big Island Abalone used to be on 10 acres. It was expanded to 24 acres. But 12 acres were returned in January to reduce costs. And what is left now is about 12 acres, which includes the original 10-acre abalone facility and a little bit of space where the barbecue, on the top of the picture where the barbecue area is. At this point, their use would be solely for abalone production. There are no other species that would be allowed at this point. They do refer to their interest in the future of looking at a variety of species, but since this sale has been sort of on a fast track, they haven't been able to look at what the business proposition would be for these other species. If they do look at other species, they will be coming back to the board just like any other company that changes their business plan. They need to come to the board to get approval for that. There are more details in the write-up, of course, but at this point, I'll just summarize. Staff is recommending approval. We believe this will save the 10 jobs that are there. We also believe that Akatsuki will be bringing the facility back up to a proper state, and in particular, we do like the fact that they are going to focus on production of food for the island here, both for locals and visitors. We do have quite a few people from both the Kowa side and the Akatsuki side that are here to answer any questions you may have on either the business plan, plans for the future, or what has happened in the past on the Kowa side. I'm not sure if I should present everybody again. This might take some valuable time. So I think, I believe Taishi will be answering questions on the Kowa side. Is that correct? And on the Akatsuki side, we'll let Megumi field questions and
translate for me.
And translate. Yes. So that is it on my end, Vice Chair.
At this point, let's open it up for discussion. Okay, I have a question on the business plan in the first 3 years projected income statement. It looks like a big chunk of the revenue is coming from food service versus the farm tour and abalone sales. Could you maybe help us understand what that would look like?
Just to let you know, translation is taking place on our end. Respond when ready.
アワビの方は、僕今、厚アワビの方はちょっと絞ってるんで、そう見えるだけで、Okay, let me answer your questions. Well, basically, our business model is constructed with the three sectors. One of the abalone sale, food services, and farm tours. It looks like it is indeed that majority of the revenues for the past 3 years coming from food services, of which we have succeeded in the past couple of years. But the other point is that we are very conservative, making the revenues and the profit on abalone sales based on the past 20 years experience by the two entities. So we do understand that how difficult the abalone business is, provided all the high cost of operations versus volume of the market. So it looks abalone sales projection is very conservative, and then food services and farm tours are more optimistic based on the past experiences. But we are hoping that once we overcome the challenges reducing the production cost, then this number could be a lot different. But as long as we do continue what we do now, then this is how it looks like. So it doesn't mean that we are happy to see those numbers from the abalone sale, but we have to be, especially for the Akatsuki, who is new for the aquaculture industries. So we have to be conservative for the major role of our business, which is abalone said. So, but we are also expecting that the tourists and local people coming for the lunch or whatever, which is great to see. And so it looks, if you look at the 3 years projections, it looks kind of odd, but this is what we made based on the reality, not the dream. So yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you for the clarification. Director Wicker?
Thank you. Okay, so 1.5 million investment, 1 million for the barbecue area. So it looks like a significant investment or attention is to ag tours, which is not really NELHA's mission. So if this is food security, which is, I would say, still a stretch for NELHA, how much of the production is for local consumption versus export?
Or which numbers?
Of your abalone production. Because in your business plan, it talks about food production and security. So what is percentage projections for local food production versus export?
Production versus
export.
Export. Oh, we have reduced the significant numbers of the sale for export. We are not considering to export anything outside the US. Even we have projected to reduce number of sale to mainland as far as the abalone sales is concerned, because we are not able to project. I mean, we are not able to be optimistic reducing the cost in such a short period of time. So growing the market is good. We challenge to the market, that's fine. But if we cannot see a success story of reducing the cost, we are not gonna expand the potential market, which is a wholesale to Asian market or even to the mainland. So we have to be, conservative in terms of the production cost of abalone. So subsequently, the revenue coming out of abalone sale has to be starting from small numbers. So.
Just a follow-up then. So is there a rendering or a site plan for the barbecue upgrades? I'm not clear on what that facility, the purpose is, or what you're looking to do there. Because again, $1 million is a significant amount for.
Everything is expensive here. I was amazed, to be honest with you.
Well, it's not like we're promising that amount for sure at this time, but we do have positive. We would like to positively involve in that the plan for the barbecue area, just to provide food for local community more, and yeah, that's what we're planning for now. But we do have the financial. We just want to let you guys know that our company is a very stable financially, so we do have a good budget to provide for any maintenance we need to do at the property, including the barbecue area. It's one of the plans, but.
I believe the plans for the barbecue area, they would have been submitted to us originally when they went out to build. So any construction is typically approved by NELHA before it goes forth. And this would.
I have a concern with NELHA going down the path of ag tours or farm tours, and that's not our mission. Aquaculture is with DOA, and then there's also Agribusiness Development Corporation, and NELHA should stick to energy, not starting to go down to ag tours.
Well, to me, barbecue business it looks new, but it is related to the aquaculture business, because everything that we use are coming from the aquaculture business. So it's not a separate business. So that's how we promote barbecue site or even food services, because everything that we serve at the barbecue place or even at the food truck are coming out from the aquaculture or agriculture. So it's not two separate issues. So otherwise, we cannot do any business.
Director Wicker, do you have a follow-up?
No, I'm not in agreement or alignment with that.
Especially the abalone species, which is not daily spending creatures like oysters. Oysters is very popular, but abalone in the US, not. In Japan, Asia, yes, but not here. So we have to promote abalone somewhere. So that's one of the reasons why we have a barbecue place. We are going for the farmers market in Oahu or even Waimea, just to let the people know what it is. So we need a place to show what abalone our product is. So that's the whole reason that the COA has started this business. We're not. Well, I don't know what the president of the COA would say, but when I took over the business 3 years ago, I was told that do promote abalone as a food ingredient to the people. I was shocked because I didn't know that very few people knew what abalone is. So as a Japanese, I have to find a way to promote the products. So barbecue is one of them, food truck was one of them, and farmers market was one of the venue to promote. So that's the whole reasons. So I think
I don't disagree with the abalone cultivation. It's about the use of state land for a not approved purpose. When either a food truck or a farmer's market in NELHA is not an appropriate purpose. The cultivation, I agree, there is success of oyster cultivation, and we see that success. I'd like to just see the plans or what they're proposing for the $1 million facility, because that'll start to set a precedent for the rest of the park. And we don't have that.
Just to clarify, this $1 million that we mentioned, or Lawrence mentioned, has been approved by NELHA already. So the 1 million out of 1.5 million was the entire budget. And then the construction has started last year. Then we have spent $500,000 already. Then COA decided to pull out from the business. So everything has been ceased off. Has been suspended. So we still have the 1 million to go. But those 1 million activities has been approved by NELHA, or of course the planning department for the buildings. So everything has been approved. So I'm not sure what your point is. This is not a new investment.
I have a new executive director too. So.
Okay, so this budget has been approved by NELHA, approved by planning department. So nothing is new for today. I hope I clarify with you about where the 1 million project are coming from.
So just
okay?
I want to see a site plan.
Could I clarify one thing?
Sure.
The current employees who were growing the abalone and running the facility, they will all be kept on.
Yes.
And the production as it currently is will be maintained.
Right.
So I mean, in that sense, nothing is going to change.
Right.
But you do have to obviously be able to sell what you produce.
True.
And right, Gordon, I'm just, if I can add, it's not like, I see this portion is very small in what we do, and it helps the tenants to survive, and the industries are changing all over the world, and the commercial aspects of what we do at NELHA really are a small portion of helping our tenants progress. So I'm just adding that as my comment. And I don't feel it's in any way negative to what the purpose of NELHA is.
Thank you, Director Bruce. I see we have a comment from Director Lin.
Thank you. Well, my question is in regards to abalone production. And so, I'm not quite familiar with, what happened in COA's operation versus what you guys are planning to do with Akatsuki, but if you could expand on how you will try to increase production, aside from doing all the required repairs and whatnot, but is there anything different that Akatsuki is going to do to try and produce more abalone, uh, you know, from a business standpoint, at a larger volume or at a cheaper cost, what's the plan there?
Yeah.
アバロニをのちっちゃくしていくじゃないですか、生産していく。そこが気になって、そこに対してで、何していこうっていうプラン。
それを聞いてるから思ったんだけれど、それは結構のいつどうして採算があるような料理さんということがファイナンシャル合意になる。
Yes, so our main purpose for now at this point is to maintain the facility and then keep the abalones we have. So our plan for the 3 years production is could be a lot smaller than before. And that will be determined later in future as we go by. But for now, our main purpose is to keep the abalone we have and to cut the cost of production. We're trying to reduce the number of abalones within the 3 years, but it might get changed as we go start the operation. I don't know if that answered your question.
Sorry,
Yeah,
this is
go ahead.
This is Taiki Hayakawa for Akatsuki, and please, any of the members from Akatsuki, correct me if I'm wrong, but just to add a little bit of a context to this thing, I believe there was a comment earlier about how the stock sale was kind of on a faster schedule than usual. And one of the reasons why is because there were these operational costs that were a really big concern, and we were trying to push things forward. And so I think the main, a large focus in the beginning, at least, is to make things, sustainable on the at least on the business side, so that they don't. Akatsuki doesn't have to immediately pull out after we've done all of this work. And so I just wanted to kind of add that context.
Put a follow-up to these questions as well. And this probably goes a little bit beyond the business plan as well. Why is Akatsuki making the investment? And what does success look for this?
なんで買ったかっていう話ですよね。
なんで買ったか。
それは
社会貢献をしたのがいいです。
まずは社長、オーナーが非常にっていうところで、始末がしないという話を聞いたときに、ぜひ残したいと。このビジネスを継続したいっていうところが一番のところで、今お聞きしている限りは、それなりの投資が必要だということだけれども、それをする経済的な余裕はあるので。
Yes, so when we first, our CEO, Mr. Idemitsu, when he was here in June, we heard the news that Kona Abalone is going to be closed. And Mr. Idemitsu is a big fan of Kona Abalone from before, so he wanted to, keep the local love abalone for the local people. And that was the main reason why he decided to actually purchase the company to take over. And our company, Akatsuki International, is a very stable financially. So we do have the budget for that 1 million plan. And we're not quite sure how much we can put for the maintenance keep the maintenance part like at this time, but for future, we do have, we just want to show that we do have that much of budget to provide to maintain the facility. And the main reason is that we want to keep that Kona abalone for the local community, and we like to keep that, for the.
Can I say something? Regarding, and Director Dean, this, then I was shared response regarding energy. And coming into NELHA, 6 months ago, one of my jobs was to sign invoices. And I saw at the top of that pile that Big Island Avalon was the highest user of electricity, far beyond any other town, and the highest user far beyond in water pumping. And it causes us to have operated the 55-inch pump probably far more than needed, which required electricity to be used beyond what we have as a renewable energy source. We have a PV and battery to actually operate that pump to minimize the load being satisfied from the grid. Now with this plan of looking at what was attractive is you're reducing the footprint of what needs water. So you're reducing your water demand. You're also managing the leaks in the repairs and maintenance, because this was evident in the walkthrough that these, I call them like parasitic leaks of energy is what I view it as in the water filtration system, and saw that as almost a disregard for the value of energy. Now, with this reduction of the footprint and correcting the problems with the sump, which is where the water gets discharged and circulated back to the land, that was to me a gross negligent disregard for what and how the place should operate. And also reflected and I'm sounding harsh because from an energy perspective, there was no consideration or higher elevation of the energy loss that was occurring. And so with the proposed plan of repair, drinking, and becoming more efficient, that allows NELHA in our water pumping to greatly reduce the energy consumption, and therefore places our water pumping more into the renewable energy portfolio using our PV and battery systems. So it's not a direct production of energy, but it's certainly one of the first steps of energy. Renewable energy steps is to reduce and manage your load so your energy is used efficiently. So by then correcting the what is negligent in energy management will assist everyone, especially NELHA, in the water pumping needs and loads for what we do in our systems.
Thank you, Executive Director Saito. Is there any other comments or questions for either Koa or Akatsuki? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the reassignment?
So moved.
Thank
Director
you.
Hilton.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
have a comment.
Director Lin?
Yeah, so I'm okay with going forward, but I'd like to see more on the abalone production side and understanding what the plan is after. You know, it's a great idea to diversify the streams of revenue to keep the production, you know, profitable, but the main purpose is to produce abalone. So I just want to make sure that we see that plan going forward.
Thank you, Director Wicker.
Yeah, so I'll be voting no, but going back to the energy, NELHA's mission isn't about energy consumption. It's about the research of renewable energy and ocean-related resources. So aquaculture is in statute. But when I read this proposal, there's a lot of emphasis on agritourism and food services, which is not our mission. The cultivation, I support. As I question, what is the site plan as $1 million investment, and what does that do moving forward for other tenants? And then we start using land critical to NELHA's research and development responsibilities versus ag tourism. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wicker. On this one, can we actually do a roll call vote?
Okay, I'll do the roll call if we're ready for it.
I think we're ready for it, unless there's any other comments from the board.
Let me just add, I've been pretty enthused to hear that, you know, the intent of this operation sounds to me like to right size where they're at with the abalone, concentrating more on what I read in there was supporting local markets and dealing with the efficiency problems that Edie Saito mentioned. Also sound like pluses to me. This tenant has a lot of history on the site, and I'm very happy to see that we have a new player coming in to maintain and improve and make it more efficient. I see a lot of pluses. Some of the concerns I've heard maybe warrant a little further attention, but I'd like to see this move forward. So I just want to make that comment.
And this is Gordon, if I can add to what Alan just said. I think an aggressive marketing plan in Hawaii would provide a huge opportunity for exposure to abalone, not only to the Hawaii market, to markets outside of the state of Hawaii, originating from the state of Hawaii out of NELHA.
Thank you, Director Bruce. I'm going to add my comments here. I wasn't sure if we should do it with the vote, but it feels like this is an appropriate venue before we vote too. I'm supportive here as well. I do get Director Wicker's point on the energy and the and the focus, I think, more of the proposal and how it's presented. My recommendation to the NELHA staff is, I think in our older formats, when any type of tenant action was coming to the board, it was very financially driven, right? Like, what's your business plans, what's your financial projections? And we wanted to see really financially viable tenants. I think going forward, it would be also helpful to the board to understand how the tenants play a role in the NELHA ecosystem and how the tenant's mission aligns with the mission of NELHA as well. I feel like it might be here in various pieces, going everything from the local food production to potentially some of the energy consumption or optimization there, right? But I think it would be helpful to present that upfront and not just the numbers. Is there any other comments from the board? Okay, Laurence, if we could do a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Vice Chair Miyashiro? Aye or nay?
Aye.
Director Bruce?
Yes, in favor.
Director Sims is recused. Director Hirokawa?
Yes, with reservations based on Deputy Director Wicker's comments.
Director Lin?
Aye.
Director Sao?
Aye.
Director Hilton,
I vote yes.
Director Wilshire,
Aye.
Director Wicker.
No.
So 7 yes, 1 no. Out of the 7 yes, 1 was with reservations. So motion passes.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. Sorry, thank you to Koa and Akatsuki for being here, and to answer our questions and to present. You know, we wish everyone good luck in your future endeavors, and we're looking forward to seeing what you're doing here. The motion is approved with the vote. The next item on the agenda is Executive Director's Informational Status Report on ongoing projects, including water quality, the Ota well, and the tsunami event. Executive Director Saito?
Okay. Wonderful. Read some movies and film. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I got those language.
So I'll try to make this brief. With water quality, I just wanted to make this a regular subject to discuss and or update, in that we have continued on with the flushing, and our most recent one, I believe, was on August 6th. And it was on the northern portion of the system. And Keith, do you have any kind of 2-minute recap, 1-minute recap of that flow?
The flush focus in the northern area, we reached maximum velocities in our piping system. I feel very confident that we achieved what we wanted to achieve. And we also observed that we had less, we'll say, biofouling and debris that came out of the pipeline this time around versus the previous flushes. So I think we're going in the right direction, and we're preparing for the next flush next 3 months, which may include a different technique. So I feel super confident that we're achieving what we want to achieve with these 2-hour flushes on a quarterly basis.
Right, and the future flush is considering how to actually implement a ice pigging methodology, which was found successful on the East Coast of the US. So we're continuing that effort. We're continuing to meet with the lobbying group to try and solve what we still haven't solved, the exact cause, but we know that our actions that we are taking currently has been effective in assisting a more consistent performance in the larvae. On the Ota well, the adaptive management plan has been approved and moving forward with Seaworm, the clean water resource management team. And this morning, there was a meeting with Seaworm. There's an update given. It looks like they received more federal funding to actually assist with the the work of the adaptive management plan through 2027. They're still going through the initial setup of the groups. NELHA met with the seaworm team for about 2-3 hours and went over what and how we test the data we keep, and this to keep in mind, this to resolve the use of freshwater, potable water within the Quanah aquifers. So it is far-reaching in its impact on housing development, other issues that we are attempting to deal with water being a leading item on that. And with the brief update on the tsunami event, it went like that there's relatively no impact. But what it clearly brought to mind is that aside from keeping from the NELHA perspective, the water pumping deep, surface, and fresh, that there's also a need to have communication with the tenants, not only on the evacuation or the shutdown, but also on the return and ongoing activity. During the hazard event, during the warning, who remains within the inundation zone, who is evacuated. And also once it's all clear, who is then allowed to come back. And should there have been impact, how to manage that impact across 3 miles of shoreline. And, some of the tenants might lose their boat or might lose their tanks, and do we allow them to rush back into an inundation zone? So things like that, we'll need to kind of work that out and document that into almost a hazard mitigation plan that civil defense works on, but to mirror that specifically for hazard, blue sky hazard event, post-hazard event, and then resilient recovery throughout. So I just wanted to cover that. And as far as the events, other events that you weren't, a lot of you in the room on the call, on the meeting weren't involved in, but we had an event where what we've been, I say NELHA has been discussing for many years is the 50-year-old pipe system that sits under the ocean, and how it breaks free and it actually floats. The pipe, the original 50-year-old pipes, and one broke free on last week Thursday, and about 230 feet, and the concern is that these pipes float. And so it's a hazard in the water, basically. And Alex, you want to give a short recap? It was an amazing team effort in which from discovery to extradition of the pipe from the water.
So on Thursday about noon, I received notice from the Kona Harbor Master that a section of our pipeline, one of our old defunct pipelines, was found floating. So disconnected at both ends, unlike some prior events where the pipe might break free at one end and still remain tethered to the bottom. This one actually was free at both ends and free floating. It was making its way towards Maui when it was eventually spotted. Coast Guard called us and asked what we were gonna do, and bear in mind, this is Thursday before our state holiday Friday. Even the harbor master himself said that he wasn't going to be available to help us out until Monday. But as it turns out, we were able to secure assistance from our good contractors, Jack's Diving Locker, who were able to tether the pipe overnight at a temporary mooring location, a day use mooring. And the following day, we got help from Jack Diving Locker as well as EC Motor Construction Corporation, and we were able to take the pipe out of the water in record time. This is the fastest full pipe recovery that we've done so far of the five sections that I've been responsible for assisted in removal is by far the fastest response that we've had so far. And now it sits on the shoreline waiting to be tucked away. And so bear in mind, this is 300 feet of remaining 20,000 feet would remain on the seafloor to be removed as soon as possible before they become hazards to human life and property.
Is there any possible utilization of the old pipe for anything?
I'm hoping to find somebody to recycle it.
Okay.
Polyethylene has a high recycle value, although not so much in the islands, but more on the mainland. But if we recover, if and when all of the old Ocean Farms Hawaii pipelines are recovered to land, that represents 150 imperial tons of raw polyethylene material that could be sold or at commodity prices.
That's all I have.
Sorry, if I may, a question for Alex. Given, I can't remember the thousands of feet that are still out there, and the potential, if a scenario arose where you could not get hold of Jack's Diving Locker or some other suitable contractor, how much anguish does that give you? And is an appropriate response for NELHA to think about getting a vessel and a trained crew that would be able to at least secure a pipe if it broke loose, or at least be able to put a GPS pinger and flags and lights onto it, and for NELHA to be more independently prepared to address these issues?
I think that would be a tremendously positive move forward, Director Sims. From a personal standpoint, you asked how much of a concern this is for me. It's a tremendous concern. I lie awake at night sometimes worrying about it. I'm not kidding. Because this has happened, like I say, 5 times in my tenure here, and this is just the beginning. There's 20,000 feet of this pipeline that remains on the seafloor, and it's very complicated. It's not going to be easy to recover. We've made a request that a budget item be included in this year's budget, in this year's budget, for $10 million to cover the full removal of the Ocean Farms pipelines. Should that not be allocated in this timeline, then I would hope that we would be able to secure a vessel and train a crew to be able to at least mitigate some of the damage that is likely should sections continue to break the way they have been.
Can I ask a clarifying question on this? When the pipe breaks off, I feel like we've been having this conversation for many years now. When a section of the pipe breaks off and floats to the surface, my understanding is that in this case, it was retrieved immediately. If it doesn't get retrieved, like I recall in the past, is there extra expenditures associated with that when you're actually trying to go and find it?
Absolutely. So in the case where the pipe remains tethered to the bottom at one end, we've had situations where it's taken us weeks, literally weeks and months to locate the pipe, because the strong currents in the area tend to cause the pipe to be depressed below the surface at times. And so it does this game of appearing and disappearing, making recovery very, very challenging. We've had sections of one section of pipeline would surface and disappear in an area of over 2 square miles. That same section eventually did break free and made its way to Maui. I had to travel to Maui and engage a contractor there to recover 1,500 lineal feet of pipeline that was floating offshore of Maui. And it's just I believe dumb luck that pipe didn't become wrapped around the propeller shaft of a young brother Hawaii barge, or cause a tremendously dangerous accident. Because remember, these pipes float just below or just at the surface, and are very, very hard to spot, especially in poor light conditions. So a small local fishing boat traveling home at night at high speed if we were to hit one of these, it would cause tremendous damage. But yes, so additional expenses by these pipes breaking free in an uncontrolled fashion, absolutely. Every time we do this, it costs us thousands of dollars.
On our contractors, do we have a service level agreement that they're available 24/7 or that they respond within a certain amount of time?
We do not have a contract in that along those lines. It's always been on an emergency procurement case by case basis. So far to date.
Do we have a backup contractor?
Yes, by personal connection, and so far, everybody shows up pretty much right away. I mean, people here understand how dangerous this is. It's their friends and neighbors that they're protecting.
Okay, I guess I think most times when things go wrong, people ask what could we have done differently, but I think in this case where everything went right, we still ask those questions because I feel like once the pipe breaks free when we had to look for it in Maui, that was a pretty significant endeavor and use of resources from all of NELHA, right? So I'd like to commend you and congratulate you on the quick removal this time.
Thank you.
Could I add a little something along the lines of what Sid was just suggesting or maybe hinting at, that perhaps you should look into soliciting an open-ended type contract that wouldn't involve any expenditure unless there is an incident, but you would have resources lined up, committed to respond within a 24-hour window, or however you specify it. Here in DOT, we have a bunch of those kinds of things for, as you can imagine, road hazards, things that happen in the harbor and so forth. Kind of a corollary to that, I imagine this has come into play on prior incidents, but you can get notices over to the Coast Guard, who can distribute warnings on wide broadcast to all mariners to inform them of a hazard when such exists, so that the Young Brothers guys are watching out and not just blindly steaming into a known hazard. Even if the exact location isn't known, the general information and awareness that the Coast Guard's able to transmit out to the community is, having benefited from that myself in a prior life, is, a good service to take advantage of when that happens again. Those are just two comments I wanted to pass on.
Thank you, Director Hilton. Yes, we do avail ourselves of the notice to mariners published by the Coast Guard. We keep them informed as to our progress on these events to the extent that we can. In the case of the Maui pipeline, that one disappeared for a period of 2 months. We went out of sight for 2 months before appearing unexpectedly off of Lanai. We wouldn't have had any idea that it could possibly have arrived there. How it made it across the NELHA channel is anybody's guess. And I wouldn't have known what to tell the Coast Guard at that point in time. If there's a long section of pipeline somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, floating around in a gyre somewhere, but it could have been literally anywhere. And it was only by fishermen off from Maui who called us to claim a bonus, a reward for providing information that we were able to locate it.
Alex, do you know approximately what type of boat NELHA would need? And the cost associated with that?
I can look at that. I have not.
Well, what on the 300-foot piece, what is the weight out of the water?
Out of the water in air, 3,000 pounds.
Right. So that's where, because on Thursday afternoon, we're going through like the checklist of who to call, who to talk to, having contracted services like standby, on call, and those things, we're going through it, Alex said if we can get Jack's diving locker, they've got the boat to search and attach. So the first thing was to get some kind of ID or fenders floating buoys on them with a flashing strobe, with a GPS transmitter, so that if it did go floating around, we could go find it. And so you know, we have to talk this through as far as that emergency response, because it would take a boat with significant muscle to move if the pipe was longer. A 1,500-foot pipe, you know, that would be like 5 tons pulling through water with that drag. So, but, you know, we're not a rabbit hole. And, but that concern of that pipe does exist. And, you know, why I mentioned it is to have the board, you know, aware that this has and will occur. And we need to have further discussions on how to best address the hazard in blue sky during and after.
Does NELHA have a strobe and other things that it can go out and stick on it if something comes up?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, okay, so.
That's
so
what
I
we're
mean-
doing out in the tent.
So I mean, in the worst case scenario, all you have to do is find a small boat, get it and stick your stuff on it while you're waiting for something else. Well, this is good.
Which is what happened, diving locker, I saw that list, like, lays it out there.
Yeah, so.
And they're able to attach the light, and they gave us an overnight, knowing it was tethered to the Hoover Tower board.
But you have your own strobe and gear that you
Yes,
can deploy.
we gave our
Okay.
And you also have the little bottom whaler,
Little bus later, yes.
which could at least be putting the strobe and the GPS thing out.
We tried that way before too, yes.
Riley, with this current CIP request, and do you guys feel like you have the resources to handle this? I feel like, yeah.
Depends what you mean by handle it, we can react, but.
Right. I mean, it's a pipe, right? I mean, unless you're gonna do a full removal, you're not gonna get it, or unless you're gonna do like a full secured tie down, it's always gonna be an issue, right? But I guess what I'm asking is, I don't want to create any more bureaucracy here, right? But I think we just keep saying, well, staff is taking care of it. But even within the staff, do you have the governance to be able to rally when this does happen? Or does this pretty much fall on Keith and says, hey, go find the pipe?
See, that's the thing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm bringing it up as a new person to the NELHA team. You know, I'm concerned that the burden is on the staff.
Right.
Their relationships, who they know. Which is a good and a bad, because they know how to resolve it, they know what it takes, they know the community network, you know, that can assist and get it done. But, you know, that's based on the team members and their relationships versus NELHA as an entity having, say, an ongoing contract or emergency call within the water. So that, you know, you're paying somebody $200,000 a year to have standby for a potential pipe break. But, you know, that's where I think we need, and do you attack the pipe being needed to be removed in one project? And that's where that from what I recall off the top of my head, there's like $10 million. To formally, you contract somebody to go down and go get that pipe. And so that's, you know, financially a tough ask in a way.
So perhaps it would be worth it to have a conversation with the marine salvage, like Kate's International or someone like that, to have a standing 10-year contract. I mean, I don't know what that costs, but I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's fun. What is it, $10 million?
That $10 million is for the removal of the pipe.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying, like, what is a standing contract with a Kate's potentially cost? I don't know.
Do you think you might want to convene a task force? It seems like there's multiple paths here, and I don't want to I don't want to ask for more work from everyone, but it feels like there are multiple paths, right? There's your $10 million CIP request. There is also the securing and acquiring a ship or boat. I'm sorry, I'm not up on the terminology for NELHA. And it sounds like there's also a path where we contract out. But I feel like, what kind of resource do you want to bring in? More community experts, more leaning on the board, more, how do we get you more resources so it's not just on staff to figure it out? Because
And
it does feel like there's many paths.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Sid. This is Gordon, just to add my comment. It's like, trying to get those kinds of funding from the state, we know how easy that's gonna be and I commend the staff for pulling together the people they know, the connections they have in the community to help them get the problem resolved, right? They reacted quickly and they did a great job of bringing it together. Is an option to put in our budget, operating budget, a SWAT team whose sole purpose is to react. Sorry, we're not going proactive because I don't think the funding's going to be made available to make us proactive unless we can consider this environmental, to react quickly when something like this happens. And you've got a team out there that they know who they can call and put it in your operating budget and it's there. Just a thought. To follow what you were saying, Sid, about how do we do something along these lines?
Yeah, I'm going to just add a little bit more too, because we've had 5 incidences over, like, I don't know how long the years are. I don't know what makes sense even from this point of view, right? Like the last time when the pipe actually broke loose on Maui, what was that? How much did we actually spend to recover that, right? Because it could be we be proactive here, but we spend less time like chasing something down once it's already detached, right? Or and the opposite thing too is like, are we looking at historically a one time event a year? Is it one time every 5 years? Is it twice a year? So I think that context and that background information would be helpful to get everyone's arms around it too, right? But I do,
Sorry.
yeah.
I agree, Sid.
750,000 over the last 10 years with the 5 incidents. That's
Is that all?
I think there's also the liability side too, right?
I think it's not a question so much of Bruce, Director Bruce, of the money. There are significant fiduciary obligations that we have to public safety here.
Oh, I agree. 100%.
I would be very loath for us to think about a Band-Aid approach to this, or long-term relying on a SWAT team response, because there could be consequences. I think what I would like to get, and I think what we all need to understand here, is what is the likelihood of you getting that $10 million from this legislature? How can we maximize the chances of that? And what are the fail-safe short-term responses that we need to put in place until we do get that money?
I agree with you 100%. I'm trying to find an interim solution while we're waiting to get $10 million.
I'm also going to jump in, unless you have these questions and can paint the story, right, of the why, and it's not just a budget line item. I think it's a harder proposition, right? So unless you paint the story of past incidences, how much resources it actually takes, and what our responsibilities are, I think it's really hard to make those asks. And the last thing you want to do is make the ask in a vacuum. So I guess what I'm also going to, and this is just probably more for Riley than anything else, is, NELHA has a few very big initiatives going on, right? I think water quality is one, the pipe is another, deferred maintenance is another. And I think we've all seen the staff is doing a tremendous amount with what they have, and the board is trying to do what they can as well with our limited resources. but I do feel like we do need to pivot and engage more of the community and engage outside entities and really do some community building to attack some of these big problems, right? Like, I'm gonna just put it out there for a task force like the securing the pipes. I would think if you had the Coast Guard in that task force, they would have some I would bet that they would have some interesting thoughts on it as well, but really engaging the stakeholders themselves, because we're just kind of giving you what we feel here, right? I think we need to defer to experts as well.
So to back you up there, Sid, I have a small boat. I'm a fisherman. This is where I fish, right here in our backyard at NELHA. I run at night oftentimes, and yeah, it's a concern. I think you'd have a huge amount of support from the entire harbor users at Honokohau. If the idea was to get this out to the public for public support, and every single boat owner and every single commercial fisherman and recreational fisherman would be behind removal of those pipelines for public support. I don't know what Dovor's relationship is with this, along with at one point, I think we brought it up with Director Tsuji from DLNR, and I don't believe he wanted to touch the issue. Is that correct, Lawrence? This was a while ago, but yeah.
Be careful what you say.
I don't know, Ian, what do you think?
But anyways, none of us fishermen want to hit a pipe.
So, Chair, I what I gather your suggestion is that this not just be a task force within NELHA, but it be a broader community task force, and that would also then provide some more political heft when it comes to the ledge next session and increase the chances of that passing. Is that your thinking?
That's one part of it. And just for clarification, it's vice chair. So I feel like I'm making a lot of work for the actual chair. But not just political support, but also bringing together the entities to really problem solve together, right? I'm pretty sure the guys with boats, having the conversation and engaging the stakeholders, there might be some things that we're not even thinking about, right? Like that whole old adage, we don't know what we don't know. And there might be not just the political will, but also some grassroots community-based solutions as well.
Yeah, I agree, Sid. It shows forward thinking. We're trying to be ahead of this thing.
I don't think you guys are ever going to let me step in for chair again, right?
You're doing a great job.
Especially when we make work, but just some food for thought, just because, I mean, I want to reiterate that I've been hearing about this pipe issue from the days when I was back in D-bed, and that's over 10 years ago, right? So, and we don't want Keith up at night because we know there's already a lot on his plate, and we're very grateful. Okay, I think we have exhausted as much as we could. Thank you for the
Sorry, Vice Chair, if I may,
Oh,
is some formal action required to set up a task force like this, or is this something that Riley and the staff can pursue?
I think procedurally you'd put it on the next, should staff, I think procedurally should staff be supportive and have any ideas, they would put it up at the next meeting on the next agenda with a proposed purpose. I don't know if you're gonna, I don't think, I want to stay away from pigs because they just take so much work. But if a task force is like non-board members or as needed or below a certain group, we would defer to Riley to propose something, right?
So this is what I'm thinking is that, because not only the pipe, we're picking on the pipe right now because it broke, but it's any, I think of it like civil defense as a hazard. So the hazard is something needs attention out in that ocean that we are not currently capable of addressing. So one example, is if an airplane is taking off from the airport and it falls in the water. That's something Chauncey asked me about, the airport director. You know, what would we do? We would see the plane on the water. Can we get to it? Not really. It has to come from the harbor. Like, that's what happened with the pipe. The pipe was right near the shore. But there's no way to address that pipe near the shore. So I'm thinking of like having a group together to look at how state, airports, transportation, NELHA, DLNR, that we work together to come up with some type of hazard mitigation plan regarding addressing what's right out here. I mean, including the pipe as an anchor, but if there's something that happens, you know, is it a Coast Guard? Is it NELHA? Is it airports if it's an airplane? Technically, it's not because it's the plane left the airport. So things like that.
Can you launch your Boston whaler from anywhere along this coastline?
Only if you got like 10, like,
Oh, okay.
throw it far enough.
It's a major cowboy operation.
Oh,
Yeah. And, you know, I even thought about like looking at maybe having a boat lift and drop or something, you know, something like that, but it's just in watching, you know, the Ocean Mariculture has their pens out here, and they're going from the harbor back and forth to get their pens, and the ocean's right there, but so I'm just kind of rambling right now, so.
And you build a little, anywhere you could build a little boat ramp?
Okay, sorry, so Director Sims, I think the answer,
And Army Corps of Engineers. Yeah.
I think
Active progress.
if you would like to convene this, you know, I'm not even, I would suggest that Riley work with John and figure out what needs to be agendized or how it comes back.
Right.
Okay, any other questions for Director Saito? Okay, with that, thank you everyone for your time today. Our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, September 16th at 1 p.m. The meeting is hereby adjourned at 2:39 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.